Since childhood, Chloe had always known that music was her true calling. She grew up dreaming of touching hearts through her art, and for a few years, she managed to make part of that dream come true by teaching music at a private school. For her, there was no greater reward than seeing the bright eyes of children discovering the magic of melodies. Unfortunately, that reality didn't last forever. Budget cuts at the school led to Chloe losing the job she loved so much. Overnight, she found herself facing mounting bills and urgent responsibilities, especially with a young son and an elderly mother at home. With little savings and a job market that had little demand for music teachers, her financial situation quickly turned into a nightmare. To keep her household running, she started taking on small gigs playing guitar and singing at events, mostly children's parties. The pay was modest, but every cent helped. Still, financial insecurity loomed constantly over her, and Chloe struggled to hide her fear and anxiety from her mother and son, forcing a smile despite the turmoil inside. At one of these parties, however, something different happened. As she played children's songs with genuine enthusiasm, she noticed that both the kids and their parents were completely captivated. By the end, several people approached her, asking if she did this regularly. At that moment, something ignited within her, a tiny spark of hope. Maybe there was another way to pursue her passion for music. Month after month, Chloe's financial situation continued to deteriorate. The small gigs she managed to find were inconsistent and barely covered the basics. Soon, overdue bills became a regular occurrence, and debt collectors started calling more frequently. Every new invoice was a painful reminder of her struggle to maintain financial stability. The pressure mounted, and no matter how hard she tried to stay optimistic, the weight of despair was eating her up inside. Anxiety began interfering with even the simplest daily tasks. Her once close relationship with her mother began to suffer. Chloe noticed that her mother was constantly worried, yet they rarely spoke about it openly. The silence between them grew heavier, filled only with anxious glances and surface-level conversations. Her frustration over not being able to provide financial security made her withdraw emotionally, blaming herself for not giving her mother the peace she deserved after years of sacrifice. The home that was once filled with warmth had become a place of constant tension. With her young son, the situation was different, but no less painful. Ben was only 5 and didn't understand the family's financial struggles, but he could sense when his mother was sad or preoccupied. Chloe, with a heavy heart, did her best to mask her emotions, pretending to be cheerful and at ease whenever she was with him. Every forced smile was an enormous effort, and at night, after putting to bed, she would finally allow herself to cry in silence, questioning if she would ever be able to give him a stable and carefree childhood. Amid the emotional chaos, Chloe decided to seek financial help from close relatives. It was a particularly hard blow to her pride and self-esteem. She had always been independent and determined, never imagining she would have to ask for assistance. When she did, she felt an overwhelming sense of humiliation, as if she had failed not only professionally but personally. Even though her family was understanding, each loan she requested left an emotional scar, a painful reminder of what she saw as her greatest failure. The stress soon started affecting her physical and mental health. Chloe began experiencing frequent anxiety attacks, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and sleepless nights. She would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, mentally calculating how much money she needed just to get through the month. For the first time in her life, she seriously considered abandoning music altogether and taking any stable job she could find, even if it meant giving up on what she loved the most. But was it worth sacrificing her true passion in exchange for financial security? One particularly difficult night, Chloe sat watching her son sleep peacefully, a deep ache forming in her chest. She imagined what his future would be like if she didn't find a way to turn things around soon. The fear of failure mixed with the guilt of putting him through an unstable situation. With tears in her eyes, she made a silent promise to herself. She would find a way out, even if she didn't know how just yet. In that moment, she felt torn between fighting for her passion and the responsibility of protecting her family above all else. In an effort to ease her immediate financial worries, Chloe accepted another gig at a children's party. During the event, she completely immersed herself in the music, playing and singing with a genuine joy that starkly contrasted with the sadness she had been feeling in recent months. By the end of the party, she was met with an unexpected wave of praise from the parents in attendance. One mother, in particular, approached her with a suggestion. Why not create personalized music workshops for kids, teaching them music and creativity in a fun and engaging way? At first, Chloe dismissed the idea. She had never imagined herself doing something like that. To her, music was a serious discipline, traditionally taught in structured classroom settings. Could she really adapt her skills in a way that parents would find valuable enough to pay for? The idea was both exciting and terrifying. And beyond that, investing in materials and marketing seemed like a huge risk when she was already financially strained. Should she even consider this unexpected advice? Over the next few days, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about the proposal. On one hand, it was a tangible opportunity, an actual chance to continue doing what she loved while earning a living. On the other hand, there was fear. The fear of failure, the fear of investing time and resources into something that might not work. The uncertainty ate away at her, paralyzing her from taking action. Yet, no matter how hard she tried to push the idea aside, it only became more appealing, almost as if destiny was guiding her toward it. During an honest conversation with her mother, Chloe shared her doubts. To her surprise, her mother smiled and said with quiet confidence, "You've always been amazing with children, Chloe. Maybe you just need to see it from a different perspective." Those words lingered in Chloe's mind. For the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of genuine hope. Maybe she had been focusing on the wrong problem. Maybe it was time to accept that her passion could take a new form, one that fit into her current reality. Still hesitant, Chloe decided to run a small test. She created a free trial class, inviting a few children and their parents to participate, just to see how it would go. To her astonishment, the response was overwhelmingly positive. The children had an amazing time. The parents were thrilled, and for the first time in months, she felt truly fulfilled and valued again. However, that same night, Chloe received an unexpected phone call. It was a job offer to work as a receptionist at a company, a stable position with guaranteed salary. Now, she was once again standing at a crucial crossroads. Would she choose the immediate security of a stable job, or take a leap of faith and pursue the promising but uncertain idea she had just discovered? Her heart pounded as she held the phone, knowing that this decision wouldn't just shape her future. It would define the future of her entire family. Chloe sat in silence, still holding the phone in her hands, trying to process the job offer she had just received. On one side, there was immediate financial security, something she had desperately wished for over the past months. On the other, there was a promise of a new journey, uncertain yet deeply stirring something inside her. She took a deep breath and tried to think rationally. Was it fair to risk her family's stability for an idea that was still so fragile? Her thoughts blended with her deepest emotions, making the decision feel almost unbearable. That night, she sat at the kitchen table with her mother and shared the news about the offer. Her mother listened attentively, without interrupting. After a long silence, she finally said, "Chloe, security is important, but so is happiness. You've always been at your strongest when doing what you truly love." Those words made Chloe reflect deeply. It was true. When she was connected to music, she felt alive, capable, and even unstoppable. But the weight of financial realities still pressed on her mind, creating an overwhelming internal conflict. In the days that followed, Chloe sought advice from close friends and family. Some urged her to take the stable job, believing it was the most sensible choice given her difficult circumstances. Others encouraged her to follow her intuition and invest in her children's music program, reminding her that she had a rare gift that shouldn't go to waste. The more she listened, the more torn she felt. She realized that no one could truly decide for her. This was a choice she had to make on her own. To clear her mind, Chloe decided to write down the pros and cons of each option. On one side, she listed financial stability, immediate benefits for her mother and son, and the long-awaited security she had been craving. On the other, she wrote down personal fulfillment, creative freedom, long-term growth potential, and above all, the genuine happiness of doing what she loved. As she stared at the list, she realized something crucial. Financial stability didn't necessarily mean emotional security or lasting happiness. At that moment, the decision seemed obvious, but as soon as she closed the notebook, fear crept back in with full force. What if she failed? What if she invested time, money, and energy into the music project, and no one showed interest? What if that small initial response was just a stroke of luck? The fear of disappointing her family again was almost paralyzing. Chloe wasn't sure she could handle another failure, especially now that so many people seemed to have expectations for her. Trying to distract herself, Chloe went into her son's room that night and watched him sleep peacefully. She looked at him with warmth, feeling an immense wave of love wash over her. At that moment, she had a realization. What she truly wanted for her son was a happy and fulfilled mother, not one stuck in a job she hated. This brought a moment of clarity, but also intensified her responsibility. She needed to decide whether she had the courage to fight for what she truly loved, despite the risks. The next day, Chloe received another phone call. It was a woman who had originally suggested the idea of the children's music workshops. She explained that she had spoken with other parents and found a significant number of families interested in enrolling their kids if Chloe moved forward with the project. Chloe's heart raced. This was concrete proof that her idea had real potential. But even with this validation, insecurity still whispered in her mind. What if everything goes wrong? That night, Chloe had another conversation with her mother. This time, she openly expressed all her doubts and fears. Her mother, with a calm smile, held her hands and said softly, "The only regret you should fear is the regret of never trying. Everything else, even if it doesn't work out, will only make you stronger." The words hit Chloe deeply, and she felt tears rolling down her face. She knew she had to make a decision, and now, she was more certain than ever that she didn't want to spend her life wondering what if. With this newfound conviction, Chloe decided to create a detailed plan for launching her music project. She spent days researching, planning materials, budgeting, and figuring out a marketing strategy. The more she worked on it, the more excited she became. The feeling of enthusiasm she had while structuring each activity and imagining children learning and having fun was indescribable. Slowly, she felt herself regaining a part of the essence she had lost in months of struggle and frustration. However, another overdue bill arrived in the mail, reminding her of her harsh financial reality. The rent was dangerously behind, and she knew she had to act fast. The stable job offered security, but would that security be enough to compensate for abandoning her passion and dreams? Chloe felt a tightness in her chest. She needed to decide soon. The next morning, feeling completely overwhelmed, she found a note from her mother on her pillow. "Choose what makes your heart beat faster, my dear. We will always be by your side." Those simple words were exactly what she needed at that moment. She felt a renewed strength inside her, a courage she thought she had completely lost. With trembling hands, she picked up the phone, determined to make her final choice. As she dialed the number, her heart pounded. She knew that whatever she said next would change her life forever. With determination, she waited for the call to connect. When she heard the voice on the other end, she took a deep breath and said firmly, "I've made my decision." Now, all that remained was to see what would happen after taking the boldest and riskiest step of her life. Chloe chose to bet on her children's music project. Immediately after making her decision, she began working on marketing and structuring her lessons. With creativity and minimal investment, she transformed a cozy space in her home into an environment where children could learn music in a fun and engaging way. The initial demand was small, but was enough to reignite her hope. Over time, the project grew naturally. Satisfied parents recommended her to friends, and every new child enrolled strengthened her confidence. Financial stability gradually followed, finally bringing peace of mind to her mother and son. Chloe realized that, even though she had started small, she was building something truly valuable with her own hands. More than just financial security, Chloe discovered a new perspective on herself. She realized that her greatest strength lay in doing what she loved, even in the face of challenges. She learned to see every obstacle as an opportunity to grow and every child she worked with as a personal victory. Her anxiety was replaced with renewed confidence and genuine joy. Her mother and son benefited as well. The household became warm and filled with hope again. Her mother, with pride shining in her eyes, often said that Chloe had rediscovered her true essence. Ben, her son, grew up seeing his mother as an example of courage and determination,